session because a lot of us are meeting each other for the first time. So today what we have as a broad outline at our end is that we would like to show you a very interesting documentary film which highlights the stonecraft and architecture of India. It's very fascinating building because it has narrative spread across like 140 years because it is still getting constructed and it started getting its construction in 1904. So we will have that small documentary and then we will present some prototype ideas for the stone pavilion and would love to also see what our German counterparts are exploring. So Suryendu, I had mentioned to you about the students who are part of this scholarship of the current phase. Suryendu is here, Mr. Prashant is here. The other, you could say hi, Suryendu and Prashant.
Hello, I'm Suryendu. I just lost power over here, so I might be in the dark currently.
And yeah, Prashant is also there.
Smirti, do you think we should briefly make a little round of presentation to introduce the teams to each other?
Yeah, definitely.
So this would be, I think, a nice opportunity also to connect students among each other.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
just to say hello, that people know who is who.
Yeah, I'm requesting everyone, could you please switch on your cameras and let us see each other and say a hello? Astha, Kimea, Prashant, Sanjeev, are you all able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Saina. She's also a PhD scholar with us and she's helping me with the studio, vernacular architecture and experimental architecture. And yeah.
Hi.
And Prashant is there.
Perhaps it would be nice if the German group could also switch on the cameras, so we
yes.
can
Yes.
say hello.
I know Andrea, I know Medina, and I saw Philip. There are a few more people. Maybe there are some network issues few people are facing. Prashant, please say hello to everyone. Your mic is off.
I'm Prashant. I'm currently doing PhD in Department of Architecture.
I think there are some network issues. Okay, I think Axel, few of them might be facing some network issues. Anyway, it's very nice meeting all of you and I hope for a fruitful session today. As and when you are able to switch on your camera and present yourself, please do that.
Maybe I can just quickly start, meanwhile the others
Hello, Philip.
are trying to switch on the cameras. I'm Philip. I just joined this research project this semester. And yeah, I'm really happy to also have some insights from you there, because so far my knowledge of India comes from some books and the internet. So I'm excited to have some new insights. I'm happy to be here.
That's wonderful. Looking forward to have an interaction.
So maybe I continue. My name is Gerion, and I took part in the last 2 semesters in the research project on Rent Earth. And no, the last semester was already stone, and I took part in this too. And now I continue, and I'm also part of the BAAD exchange program, and I'm very looking forward to the next month and getting deeper into stone and Indian and German stone culture. Yeah, very excited.
Thank you. Very nice meeting you.
Hello, I hope you all can hear me. I'm Alexandra. I also took part in the last semester, and I also was part of the summer school last year. What was planned to do together, but unfortunately not. But maybe someday in the future we can do it together. It was a very nice time and a lot to learn. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is George, and just like Alexandra, I took part in the summer school last year or 2 years ago, no, last year, and I'm really looking forward to this project.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello everybody, my name is Jessica. I took part also in the last research last semester, and I'm really excited about this new semester and really looking forward to learn more.
Hi, I'm Vesela. I also took part in the summer school from last summer, but this is my first semester dealing with stone, so I look forward to learning a lot of new things about how to process stone.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Aude. I participate in the last summer too. The topic is very interesting and I'm part of a DRD too, and yeah, I'm very excited about the semester together and the work.
Good to hear from you.
Maybe I shortly continue. Hello everyone, my name is Rosa. I haven't participated in any research program yet, but I'm really much looking forward to dig in the stone and to find out more about it in India and Germany and together.
All right, Rosa. Thank you. Anyone from the other end? Astha, Dhruv, Kimaya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Kimaya and I'm a student here at IIT Roorkee. I'm currently in 3rd year and I'm looking forward to learn from everyone and see what all can be done. Thank you.
You are probably also going to Germany for an exchange this time?
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah, best wishes for that, and you know who all to contact for help.
Yeah.
If you need anything from Germany, all the friends are over here. Best wishes. Manas, Dhruv, anybody?
Yeah, hello. I'm Manas. I'm 3rd year undergraduate student at Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Roorkee.
All right.
Hello, I'm Astha. I'm also 3rd year student from IIT Roorkee. Nice to meet you all. I'm excited to see all the work presented today. Thank you.
Hello all, I'm Sanjeev Krishnan. I'm also doing my 3rd year architecture at IIT Roorkee.
Excel, we have 4 master's students who are unable to participate in today's session. One is fighting COVID, another one's family is fighting COVID, and the rest of the two have a design review. So hopefully they are able to join us next time. All the four master students are not here today.
Yeah. Okay. So again, hello to everybody. I'm really glad that we can all join at least with digital means in today. And I would strongly recommend perhaps students to set up their own way of communicating and connecting among these two countries and our two schools of architecture. So it would be great perhaps to agree on regular meetings on your own. I mean, you can use either Google Meet or Zoom to exchange on the schemes we will probably see in a minute after the film. So we would really like to emphasize on this cooperative aspect of our common endeavor. And so I would like to invite Smriti perhaps to go on with the little film you announced. And
thank you. Let us just try. Surendu, would you like to try playing it?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah. It would be very nice if the audio plays because it creates a very nice impact. So in my system, the video is playing. There is some problem with the audio. So Surendu is going to try from his system. Which media player are you using? VLC?
I'm using VLC.
Okay, let's try. I can see it on the screen. Let's try if there is audio. Yeah, it's playing. You can start it from the beginning and make it full screen.
Okay.
ये राधा स्वामी समाज जो राधा स्वामी धर्म के पहले गुरु मेन फाउंडर ऑफ दिस फेथ उनकी याद में बनाई जा रही है। अंदर आप जाएंगे तो देखेंगे उन्हीं की फोटो है और उनकी धर्म पत्नी राधा जी महाराज की भी फोटो है, जहाँ लोग मत्था टेकते हैं और दूर दराज से लोग दर्शन करने के लिए आते हैं। ये राधा स्वामी समाज 1904 में बनना शुरू हुआ। जो स्वामी जी महाराज थे उनका जन्म 1818 में हुआ और उनका देहावसान 1878 में हुआ। 1904 में एक मिस्टर फिरजौनी करके थे इंग्लैंड के, उन्होंने इसका मेन बेसिक नक्शा बनाया, जिसके बेस पर मॉडल बनाया। तो पहले मॉडल बना, उस मॉडल के बेस पर ये पूरी बिल्डिंग काम कर रही है। इसका जो मेन एरिया है, वो जो मेन प्लेटफॉर्म है वो 220 फीट बाई 220 फीट का है। उसके बाद ये ग्राउंड फ्लोर है। उसके बाद जैसे ही फर्स्ट फ्लोर शुरू हुआ है तो वहां पर बिल्डिंग जाकर के 110 फीट बाई 110 फीट की हो गई। इस तरह से ग्राउंड फ्लोर, फर्स्ट फ्लोर, सेकंड फ्लोर, थर्ड फ्लोर, फोर्थ फ्लोर, फिफ्थ फ्लोर एंड देन डॉम। टोटल हाइट इस बिल्डिंग की 193 फीट है।
स्वामी जी महाराज ने कुछ बानियां रची। उस बानी में एक कड़ी उनकी यह है कि फल और फूल जहाँ तिराजें, राधा स्वामी तहाँ विराजें। उस कड़ी के सार को ही हमने इस बिल्डिंग में समाने की कोशिश करी है। और यहाँ पे आपको हिंदुस्तान बल्कि विश्व में जितने भी पेड़ पौधे हैं उन सबको यहाँ पे दर्शाया गया है। अभी मैं आपको नीचे ले जाके देखूंगा, उसमें जो भी पौधा बनाया गया उसका उसने बॉटनिकल नाम भी लिखा हुआ है। ऐसा नहीं कि कुछ भी चीज उसने उगेड़ दी है, उसमें हर पौधे के ऊपर, हर पत्थर के ऊपर उसका एक बॉटनिकल नाम है। तो हम इसको जो है बॉटनिकल गार्डन ऑन स्टोन भी कह सकते हैं। इतना खूबसूरत बनाया है।
One is our religion doesn't permit any figure. Any man's figure or any figure of God. Just treat them across from here on here. Good message. But I got it from here. This one from नहीं हमने ये हमारे होता है। यहाँ से हमेशा
I'm sorry to interfere, but it's not really playing well. Is the system working or is there a problem with
Pardon me?
It seems like the system is getting hung every now and then, because it is playing very fine in my system. It's just that I'm not able to put the audio on.
So you're not able to hear the audio?
No, there is a lot of disturbance at the back end.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, thank you for giving us insights to this carving.
You could just quickly play and finish it because there are sound problems in this. Just flip and play it and complete it.
Okay.
Thank you, Surendu. I'm sorry for the technical issues because it was a low resolution video that we are playing for this session, and there were some issues with the sound. So sorry about that.
Smriti, perhaps you can send us a copy of it so we can upload it here and look at it again in.
All right. There is some editing going on as far as the typeface and font is concerned. I'll just get it done probably in a couple of days and send you a copy.
Oh, thank you for this. Yeah.
So this is just one of the stories from the entire montage that will be there on the documentary. And this one is celebrating the craftspersonship in stone.
Yeah, it looks great. Thanks for this.
Okay. So would you like to proceed with the stone pavilion prototypes or should we start? How do you want it?
Anything is fine. Medina, she prepared a collection of presentations of what the German students came up with. So thanks to Spritzi's webinar, the last time we had a meeting with two experts in stone and came up with the idea of experimental stone pavilion, which can serve as a showcase in trade fairs or demonstrate what could be a contemporary version of stone carving or stone construction in a smaller scale, like a micro-architecture. And so we would like to present you some of these schemes, very different, broad variety of ideas, and we will be very glad to look at yours. So I would pass over to Medina, who could share the screen to show you some of these designs. Thank you.
All right.
I'm sharing the document, but it's not. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Yes.
Okay, I am not able to see it. I see a blank screen as of now.
Now we have the problem.
What
Let's
about
see.
the other people, Saina and everybody? Are you? Yeah, now
Yeah,
I can
I can
see
see.
it. Yeah, I can also see it now. Thank you.
So how are we going to present it, Axel? Are you showing every project, or do I click through it, or the students talk about it?
Yeah, perhaps students can just briefly present the idea while you click through it. So I think this was basically perhaps short presentation of the idea and about the construction process.
Okay, we start with Vesela.
Hello. The idea of the pavilion was the stone tool marks that the CNC milling machine leaves on the stone when it's shaped. And I got inspired by this new process that also has some of the traditional heritage behind it, and wanted to translate it into this pavilion. So the pavilion has a spiral shape, which follows the shaping process of the stone from from its rough surface to the middle, where a geometric shape that is left by the CNC tool can be seen. So here we see the plans, and what we can see also is in the section how the stones are interconnected, where each of the stone above can fit into the stone below at an angle, which counteracts the gravitation, the gravity force, which is exerted on the pavilion walls that are inclined inwards. The pavilion is constructed of around 480 stones. Each stone is formed from a sand block that is around 20 by 20 by 40 centimeters. And it's laid on one side, which then is left rough, and all other 5 sides are shaped so that they can fit to the. Each stone is unique, so it needs to fit to the stones that below and to the stones above, and also have a surface, a unique surface that follows the pattern. So one stone weighs around 20 kilos, and the whole pavilion weighs around 9 tons. The stones can be transported into 6 pallets, 80 by 120 centimeters, which with 80 stones in each pallet, and each pallet weighs around 1.5 tons. And for the assembly, as I said, each stone is unique, so there should maybe be a numbering on the stones, and then the stones can be laid out one by one on top of each other. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Vesela. Perhaps we can go on with the next presentation.
Sorry. Okay. Christiane? I think Christiane is not here, so we wait for her. Alexandra, can you present?
Yes, if it's okay, I would switch out my my video because I think I have some problems with my internet connection. So I have been thinking about the connection or the symbiosis between the technique of weaving and stone. And so I tried to transfer the system of weft and warp to the stone. And in this process, I came up with the idea that my basic system consists of two components, the steel skeleton and the S-shaped stones. And the stones are held in a steel skeleton from two sides so that they cannot fall on, and they create a connected structure. And these rounded walls further support the stability of the wall, and so the pavilion become a kind of a passageway where you can also stop to take a break or to stay there. And when the pavilion is reassembled, it is possible to decide how the walls are positioned to each other in order to create different spaces and so to adapt to different locations where it can be where it can stand. And even the wall does not always look the same. You can see it on the point before, thank you. Because there are two different stone heights, and which with these you can make different patterns, and these stones can also can be made of different types of stone, and with these different patterns, it is possible that the pavilion looks different at in every other location, even in appearance and also the haptic. And in total, one of these bows consists of approximately 100 parts, and the steel skeleton is assembled from 3 parts and a base plate, a pillar system, and an upper connection. And the stones, these S-shaped stones, are hooked into each other to have an additional stability. So the system of the weft and warp is so connected with the stone. So the principle is used in stone building. This was the main idea.
Alexandra, perhaps also the others could mention, since the projects are not finished, maybe also quickly what you are continuing on. For example, in Alexandra's work, she's trying to see if the structure that's made out of steel could be maybe reduced. So
yes.
She's working on this.
I think that would be wonderful if the tension components are reduced and utilizing the property of stone as a compression. It's a very, very interesting experience.
Sorry, I don't know if it's for everyone, but I did not understand something because of the audio.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Now it's better, thank you.
Okay, no, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just saying it's a very fascinating experiment where you are trying to translate the warp and weft in a textile and take it to space making. But what Medina was saying, that you looking at reducing the tension components and capitalizing on the compression property of stone, I think that's the right direction according to me. So looking forward to further experimentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So Jessica?
My microphone was off. This stone pavilion that I was trying to make was more as a cultural exhibition I was looking at firstly to the geometry of some buildings in India, and the other component was ornament. That's in the next page. Yeah, and the ornament, and I was also fascinating and trying to figure out how can I emphasize the robust structure of the stone, and how can I make an identity for each country, for example, that this pavilion will be built. And for me, in this concept, it was really simple, and the stone pavilion has a basic structure and function. It's an arc, and in the very first view, and this, for me, emphasizes the structure of the stone, and it can be built with every type of stone depending in which country, and the ornament is also a part of the showing the culture where it comes from, and the stone pavilion. Yes, and this is an elevation and a section, and there are like two arcs coming together, and the orthogonal addition of two arcs becomes to one module of the pavilion, offering enough space underneath it, and it can be extended to a network of modules, and the structure becomes flexible and extendable. So I try to make like how these modules can come together, and this is the expansion, for example, to this 3 meter to 3 meter module, and in the other page there is this function that it could use. These modules coming together, they can be used for workshops or for an exhibition or as discussion rooms and podiums, and I don't know, I thought it would be a nice research to use these different kind of stones and also different ornaments, and to have like a culture exhibition. So this was the main idea, but I have also to figure out more how it with which kind of stone, and for sure the stone have also different formats.
Smirti, perhaps you can also have comments in between, because I'm thinking in this project, since it reminds me of more like bricklaying work than in stone, because you have always this layer in between that reminds me of bricklaying work. What do you think? I would like to hear your opinion.
You mean to say that it resembles the bricklaying, the orthogonal projections that she's suggesting? Yeah, I mean there could be an interpretation of that, but what I really like is how she's trying to articulate the form or multiply it through other modules, and trying to also create transient spaces in between. That looks very interesting to me. Of course, the kind of stone that you would like to use, and what would be the weight, and till what expense you can multiply and create further modules, that you will have to work a little bit. But initial exploration looks good. And even like what you are suggesting, to have these alternative courses just like bricklaying and creating those alternate layers, that could also be structurally stable. So it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else, please feel free if you have any kind of comment or suggestions, the other people as well. Thank you.
So while I started to design the pavilion, I was thinking about which stone could be used. So I started doing some research about stones in India. So I found out that there are several colors of stones. So I picked out four different tones. So because I was very fascinated by those different colors and how they are shown differently with light coming on the surface. So my idea was to build a pavilion where there was darkness inside, and then through some small holes, the sun rays could come through, and then there would be a different lighting situation throughout the day, because of course the sun moves, and then each sides are built differently with different stone colors, but the sizes of the stones only variate in 2 sizes. So at the corners there are smaller sizes, so that there are some openings for the sunlight to come in, and the rest is just one other stone size. It's 40 centimeters high and 60 centimeters width, or 52 centimeters width. This construction is held together by pre-stressing steel, because I was trying to find a way to deconstruct the pavilion again and to build it up again on a different space. So my idea was to use it with to use pre-stressing steel, which has the ability to use the pressure, which is good for the stone, like the, how do you call it again? So the pressure of this, so there's the tension. Can you maybe go one further? No, yeah, exactly, because the tectonics of the stone and the steel, they act differently, so they can use when they work together. It's like it's a perfect bound for tectonics. So the idea was to maybe to show also the way that I was using the steel and the stones, that there are more possibilities of showing the strength of the steel, and then the stones, that they can hold the pressure, and then that there is more energy to it, and just not this whole small cube, but that the roof could maybe be tilted, and then it seems like it's flowing. So that would be some further ideas that I would have to work on, to have the light falling in, and then a roof which is maybe elevated or which is tilted, so that it shows some energy to it.
Yeah, I think since you are exploring the interplay between steel and stones, you could probably try, an arcuated system or a catenary or some sort of a fluid and dynamic form. It doesn't really have to be a very linear form or a flat roof. That would look very interesting.
Yes, exactly.
Are there any other comments? Or?
Yes, please feel free, Prashant, Surendu, Pranjal, anybody, if you have any kind of comments. Otherwise, we could have a overall generic discussion also regarding production and other things.
Mm-hmm. Also, it is interesting, perhaps for the German students, if you have references when you see their proposals, and if you see a relation to a more traditional building from your context, maybe this could also be sometimes inspiring to the students to include maybe this cultural aspect.
Yes, of course, that sounds good. What we could do is after we also present, we could create a sort of a student group and connect everybody, via their email IDs. And we could also share you some inventories and some references that we have on the stone buildings and stone construction techniques from India. So we could share that, and some very exemplary buildings, just so that you have an idea of the historic examples and the cultural implications here. Like the documentary which I played does have a lot of connotations of religion and culture as the backdrop narratives, which reflects also in the built form. So same way, we could share some references. Either I could share now by sharing the screen after the presentations, or we could just consolidate them and then send it across to you. Are there any comments or observations, anyone, before we move to the other presentations? We have more?
Yes, there are a few more.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, the main concept or the main fascination about the pavilion was for me that it's a traveling pavilion. So I found it interesting that the pavilion could collect something from each station where it's built up and then pack together and send to the next station. There collect something else. And here is the pavilion packed on pallets. And it will be a modular system from little boxes that can be put together. And we see here the models of the pavilion. There was the discussion last time, maybe you could do it without a roof or without a base plate. So there is still some work going on to make it more flexible. But in this presentation, there's still a base plate and a roof. But if you continue, we see how the floor plan looks. It's like a jelly wall, and in the holes in the jelly wall, there is place to insert little samples of local stones and maybe local craftsmanship. And so the pavilion travels, and it's not just an exhibit, but it's also an archive for stones and for craftsmanships. And these are the sections, and you see the little modules, and there are some plates that connect the pieces of the boxes. You insert them, and so they connect the pavilion and make it stable, because otherwise it would be too tiny. There is still some overthinking going on about making the pieces bigger, because now they're very tiny, and it's I think it's about 2,800 of these little plates, and I think it's a little bit too much. And it could be even nicer if there were bigger places for bigger stones. But here you see it can be brick-shaped stones to lay in, or it can even be thin plates. Maybe they can be translucent if it's a very thin marble. So there can be a big variety of different stones. And this is how it was planned to be built. There this grid in the middle to let the water run down, then the base plate, and then you can build up layer by layer the different walls. And in the end, there is this roof closing up on the walls and making it safe, and then you can't move anything, and everything is connected together. But maybe we could do it without a roof and to increase the reliability of the walls, and maybe they can be put together in different ways in each station. There is two renderings of the material, and here you see the light going through to the empty holes, and then the difference between the empty holes and the already filled holes that show the variety of stones and craftsmanship.
Thank you. Yes, I like the approach that you have. You are trying to apply the modular system, so it's like a system in place. And another interesting thing is that you are thinking about the function, so it will be like a visual repository in itself, like a mini museum, traveling everywhere, going and displaying and demonstrating the samples of different kinds of stones available. But what probably you could work further, like you have already mentioned, but just to add to it, you might want to reduce the number of modules. That's first. Second could be if you want to use the stone plates, you could have thin slabs. That is one way to reduce the weight. The other possibility is that you could have some kinds of punctures within the stone plates itself to further reduce the weight and create it a little lighter. So you maintain a healthy the mass and void ratio, and so that your entire system becomes self-sustaining and light. And third, probably you are still working. I think you need a little bit time. So how the roof and this modular jali, they come together. So what happens at the intersection? Is it a riveted plate or is it a C-section? like channels running through, like where the roof and the module, at that junction, what kind of joinery is happening? Maybe you could detail that out.
I think there are joints there are some holes in the base plate and in the roof where the little plates are inserted. So the roof and the base plate are connected with the same little plates as the rest of the pavilion. Yeah. But I think it's very tiny, and I don't know if it works. I have to do some research on the static if it does work. But yeah, I think there are. I could put a little bit more work into that and see if there is a better and more stable solution for that. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, for the next time, you may want to zoom in that detail and highlight it, whether it's a slate joint or a section or anything. But interesting, I liked it. Thank you.
Hi again. So here I put 3 images of pictures that somehow were standing symbolically for some topics this pavilion tried to research or be based on. So first was like what we call the sublime or doubt about statics. So we have here like a detail from a Menierist Palazzo in Mantua in Italy by Giulio Romano, where we can see this triglyph appearingly to fall down. And I also found this picture of this cave in Badami. I'm sure you know it much better than I do. And what was interesting to me here was this gigantic weight of the stone that you can feel, but in the same time, like sort of a dynamic, in every moment it feels to come down in a sense, and yet it's like static and not moving for hundreds or thousands of years. And another interest to me was we can see this picture of a stone quarry and a little shelter for the worker in Rajasthan. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And we can see here like this blocks from the mining process, which are stapled upon each other and create this really interesting material and light kind of connection. And if we go to the next page, we can see what I thought. I looked into this red limestone quarry and how the blocks are getting extracted. And I thought of taking one of those blocks and cutting them into 3 pieces, which you can see on the bottom left. So we would have 2 thinner slabs and a bigger piece of stone. And if we go to the next page, they get stapled upon each other and build like this really simple, archaic kind of pavilion. And what was interesting to me is to see this really flat kind of cut surfaces opposing to the really rough surfaces that come from the extraction process with this metal feathers that go into the stone and break the stone. And another topic also resembling this shelters, which you could see on the first page, is this little kind of pieces which the big stone rests on. So instead of being directly mounted on top of the 2 vertical slabs, there's this gap where the light comes through. And this also reflects on the process of stapling it. So when you have the crane and you put them on top of each other, you can in the end take this rope out, which you can see on the left side. I try to show like a bit the process of construction. And if we go to the last page, what was a bit an outlook was for the treatment of the inner surface. So right now it only reflects a contrast of the rough part and the cut part. And when I saw this video that you presented in the beginning about this temple complex, I thought, or what we also discussed about already last week, that this inner surface can have further refinement or treatment, maybe with working also as a display case for like craftsmanship and even enhancing this rough kind of rock from the extraction mining process and then a really refined inner surface. Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially to see the inspiration you are drawing from Badami caves in Rajasthan and all the sort of archaic uses of stone where we're just using the weight of the stone and it is working against gravity and structurally standing above the ground as a superstructure. But probably what you could think in terms of detailing is because I'm thinking from the perspective of production, when we go on the site and we try to implement it, you would probably like to detail out what could be the weight of each block of the stone and whether these small stones that you have inserted in it, like little, not really dowels, but like small sections, are they enough to support the weight above? That you might have to research a little bit and detail it out is what I think as of now. And yes, in terms of the interior surface embellishment and the function that you would assign to this pavilion eventually, maybe some working you could do, there also. Like what function does it provide and how do you detail it out? Thank you.
Thank you.
I will start the presentation with a few references with the topics that I would like to use in my pavilion. This is interesting how to deal with the raw material at the Mausoleum of Adolf Loos or in the Mada in Salé. The stairs and step also offer an interesting play of shadow and light, which contrasts with the wall, like the stair in Chambéry or in Tomabrion by Carlos Scarpa. The next page, please. Thank you. The two other topics that are important to me is the idea of the monolith and the subtraction and addition from the massive material, like the monolith in the Furka Pass or the Starway in Morocco. The setting and the landscape is interesting and arouses interest of the viewer. The grave tower of Palmyra have a way appearance from the outside and are ornamented from the inside by subtracting and adding the massive material. So what is this pavilion? What should it be used for? For me, it's a stone pavilion for the stone and should serve as an exhibition space to promote the material. So how I do present the stones in the pavilion? In the past, stones were displayed in showcase. It was a more scientific way to displaying them. Today, the stones are staged on a pedestal, and it's interesting how to see the stone in the room and the space. So how I should put the stone in my pavilion. In response, I took Roland Simonet work in the Picasso Museum. It is very interesting how he designed the room with recesses, niche, and staircase, thereby staging the object and of the display. So as a first draft, I have a monolith that should appear from the outside like a well square rock. Please, next page. Thank you. So the entrance is staged by stars to betone the entrance. It is took of a treasure chamber with a smaller chamber like a sacred cellar in the heart. And it's used to design a tour. So the walls are covered with niche that are used to display the stone. With the subtraction of the niche, a game of shading emerge. The sides are covered with light shaft from above, as well as the inner chamber. So then I have recite the draft again. The proportion should be more modest and the light should emphasize the staging of the tour in order to increase the perception of the room. Next page, please. So, okay. The pavilion has become more slimmer, and the tour is conceived more narrowly to bring the inner chamber in the foreground. The interior walls, which need, are illuminated by small light joints, and the inner chamber is said to consist of a large number of quartz and marble stone. Next page. So I wanted to think again about this inner chamber differently, so that it stands as a contrast to the massive wall of the pavilion. It is formed here by 4 supports, and the inner walls are made of thin plates. Due to the thinness of the material, thanks to the inner light from the inner chamber, an embodiment of the sacred light should arise and create a strong perception moment. Next page. Next. So for the construction, all parts are stacked on the top of each other and fit together. Next page. So, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody has any observations?
We had discussions, or maybe you can explain also what we discussed about the roof, or this, the construction aspects that we suggested maybe that it could also have some improvements, or what do you think? If you have anything to add about what you would do next, or if that's the last stage, I don't know.
For the construction,
I mean, we talked about, this maybe in the middle it could be maybe a column, or it maybe above the doors, the door, the entrance. You at the moment you have this construction so that it would not hold, this.
I corrected. You see it's better as a front plane.
Okay.
Because in the explosion,
maybe I missed it.
the stone, it's a stone on the. It's one construction stone.
I was fascinated when, by your understanding of monolithic structures and you trying to translate into a contemporary pavilion. Did I miss something, or you rather, diverted and took another approach later?
Excuse me, I don't understand very well.
I mean, initially you were also trying to explore some monolithic rocks, right? The one bulky stone, and trying to chisel out and create a structure from that. So I was just wondering that because you initially mentioned that, I was just curious to know, did you digress from that approach and then take another direction altogether?
No, I want to create a mix of it. And with I want to create a relative monolithic structure, but it's a kind difficult with the stone material and the idea of around an exposition.
All right. Yeah, it would be more of like a sculptural exploration, and it is possible to do both with hands and CNC. It could be fascinating if you want to try out later. But what you have created as a system it looks fine. Maybe a little bit more joinery details. What is the particular dimension of each unit and how it fits in there? That would help.
Okay.
But the scooping out from a larger stone or a monolith, that sounded very, very fascinating to me. Something very experimental for a contemporary expression. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks also from my side to students of our group, and thanks also for the comments by Smriti. Perhaps we can move on to the Indian projects.
All right. Suryendu, would you like to go first?
Yeah.
All right.
Start.
All right. All right.
I'll turn off my video because there might be some issues with the internet. Is my screen visible? I hope it is.
It's sort of getting launched.
Oh, okay.
And at least for me. So it's right now black.
It's visible to us.
I can see it.
Okay, there seems to be a problem at my end today then. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start then. So the concept of this design, I basically took it from the blocks of marble that gets mined from the quarry, and I took a more purist approach to the raw material that is there, and I tried to utilize the compressive strength of marble and reduce wastage, and juxtaposing the white smooth texture of marble against the rough porous texture of sandstone, yellow sandstone, in this to be incorporated in this design. So there are basically three concepts that this design is revolving around. The first one is the availability of raw materials, and marble and yellow sandstone is one of the most abundantly available raw material when stone is considered in India. The second concept was displaying the traditional Indian craftsmanship in stone, which has been practiced since generations, and it is considered a very significant form of art and craft in the country. And the third one is ease of production, so that the parts, the units, and the lattice work can be easily fabricated and assembled. So the two materials which I have used in the design is white marble for its compressive strength, excellent workability, and its aesthetic appeal. The second one is yellow sandstone, again used because of its low density and again its excellent workability and the visual harmony it creates in conjunction with marble. So the plan of the structure is basically the design forms at 4 levels of corner blocks, which acts like a Lego structure which can be stacked one above the other, and the entire structure is supported by their own weight, and the compressive strength of marble compensates for that the dead load of the materials which are one above the other. So these blocks on the levels above, they get alternated, they get rotated by 90 degrees so that the joinery gets broken, just like in a Flemish one, and the load is not linear and there are no point of contraflexure in the joineries. So this is the section in which we can see that there are basically three types of blocks, A, B and C, and they are again joined together. Between them the lattice work comes of a yellow sandstone, and it creates the effect of cube, a semi-enclosed cube with a play of light and shadow. So I have thought, envisioned the joinery to be of two steel gusset plates which will be attached to the marble blocks by epoxy resin, and they will be bolted together for easy assembly and disassembly. And the lattice work will be attached to the structure through a combination of I section and a C channel, which will be just like attaching them from above, and easy attachment and removal. So this is the whole design that I have thought about. I'm still working on reducing the sections of the blocks a bit to reduce the overall weight of the pavilion, and I'm also working on improving the joinery detail between the lattice and the stone blocks, so that the lattice can be more flush with the exterior wall of the pavilion, and it creates a somewhat a monolithic effect of the entire construction. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Suryendu, for this very interesting scheme. I like it very much, also because of the sharp contrast between the marble and the lattice work, and in different stones, showing different properties, and it's really clear to me. Also, I like the idea of concealing something and discovering something. So you have to go inside, and one question would be, what would be inside? How is the use? Is there a little bench, or is something different being shown? And the other question goes to the roof. So when you cover it, there is a little span, of course. It's not a big building, but how would the roof, how would it be built? How about the tectonics of it?
Yeah, I have actually just. Yeah, the roof basically has 6 lattice units, and while the 4 at the periphery are taken care of due to the blocks which are the marble blocks which are there at the 4 corners, so they are taken care of, the load of them, but these 2 are still questionable, and I'm still researching about some steel members which can be introduced here to take the tension of the 2 other lattice work, because as per my calculation, each lattice work measures around 89 kilograms. So I'm still working on that. You have rightly pointed that out. And as far as the interior of the pavilion is considered, I would say I'm still working on that as well. And I'm thinking of keeping it open so that the light which comes through the lattice gets some place to be reflected on, and that interplay of light and shadow is created. So I'm trying to keep the interiors as minimalistic as possible, but I'll definitely detail it out further.
Yeah, thank you, Suryendu. Perhaps you can connect with Rosa, who is working on a similar subject, cables or a problem of tension and compression in the roof construction, so there could be perhaps an interesting dialogue going on. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, Prashant.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just trying to create up a bi-directional rotating stone structure.
Would you like to make it full screen or at least increase the screen resolution?
Okay. So the initial thoughts was to have a dynamic structure which had the following properties: rotating in different directions and capable of creating alternating pattern of shade and shadow for visual delight, and workable sizes of the module units which can be easily replicated, explore a system of repeating members, and easy assembly and disassembling process. And the inspiration for the structure which I am trying to build is coming from a Buddhist monastery, and they have their prayer towers which are rotatable by your hand movement as you go into the monastery.
I'm really sorry to interfere. Axel, are you able to see the slide which has this monastery inspiration and example?
No, I still see the first slide.
That's why I interrupted. Prashant, your slides probably are not moving. We are still on the cover slide.
Let me... Is it visible now?
Yeah, still the cover slide, the first one. We can't see the second one, which is your inspiration and the Buddhist monastery example.
Is the second slide coming up now? Okay. So I'll go back to my second slide. And the area which I had to design, the inspiration for this comes from a Buddhist monastery, and there's a praying wheel at the entry to the monastery, inside of the monastery, and that is rotatable by hand.
Can you see it now, Axel? Okay, all right.
So the key challenge is to create such a structure or to determine the right size of the units or the module, and the joinery of keeping units stable, and on the other hand rotating, and also the material acceleration which was to be seen and which could be easily available, and the process of fabrication. And similarly, the solutions were found. Marble was chosen to be the best material out of this, which could be easily workable and was easily available. And a ton groove joint was used with a slight modification of adding up a ball bearing joint to keep both the ends either fixed or rotatable. And a CNC cutting machine was an ideal solution because this fastened up the design process and easy replication could be made. A 45 centimeter by 45 centimeter module was used and fixed up after exploring different sizes. So this is how from the initial block or the module, in order to reduce the bulkiness of the block, a puncher was given in between. And similarly, when we had a size of 30 centimeters for one module, it was
Yeah, I thought so. There is some problem only at my end. We are still seeing only your inspirational idea. You have yet to go to slide 3, where you explain the CNC and the choice of material and everything. Probably what we can do is you try to convert your PowerPoint to PDF, and we will come back to you. We will come back to you. We could probably go to the next one. So Amruta is not here because she had a design review in parallel. Suryendu is going to present it on her behalf by the time Prashant would be ready with his PDF file.
Sorry, I was on mute. Is the screen visible now?
Yes.
Yeah. So the concept of Amrita's design was the entrance to temples which are mainly located in southern part of India, the subcontinent of India, and that entrance is called Gopuram. And she has basically translated that Dravidian temple architectural element into a simplified interlocking stone members to create this pavilion. And the material she has used for this is granite slabs, the sections of which are still being worked upon. But these slabs have grooves cut into them, which then interlock with each other, and then they take the load of the entire structure, which leans towards the interior of it, leans towards the center of the pavilion, like in the shape of a pyramid, and the central structure. It acts.
Yeah.
Is there an echo?
I think Prashant's mic was on. He has switched it off.
Okay. So the central structure acts like a datum to the entire construction, to the entire pavilion, and it is made up of spare stone slabs, which are arranged in a pyramidal form, and there is a steel column inside it, which forms the structural support for this spire, and the two stone blocks which form the module of this pavilion are held together by tongue and groove joints. So basically, there are no external elements or materials used apart from stone in this entire pavilion, and the compressive strength and the hardness of granite has been pushed to its limit to create this architectural structure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for presenting this work. I think it's interesting to see the journey from sacred architecture to a breathtaking engineering structure. So I think the original idea of getting believers into a temple is now transformed into something which is, an act of equilibrium and kind of a situation in which you are certainly astonished about how it all fits together and how it still stands. So this is interesting also because of the massiveness of the Dravidian temple architecture. And here we have a process of dematerialization. I mean, it's not any massive anymore, but it's a cardboard architecture. So it's somehow the opposite of the reference. I mean, we often discussed it also in our group, to which degree stone architecture is bound to the sacred, or something which is built to protect people and to have a clear difference between the inside and outside. So this I find interesting here, that all the massiveness is left behind.
Yeah, it's very fascinating, and Amruta is still working on it. She's probably going to detail it out more. And yes, of course, this idea of moving from a heavy structure to sort of dynamic and fluid and utilizing the hardest possible stone like granite is sort of a dichotomy, and it sounds very interesting. Thank you, Surendu, for presenting it on her behalf. Are you ready, Prashant, with your PDF?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Then probably I think if there's another candidate, we can go ahead with it. I think there is some problem.
Okay, Pranjal, could you please present?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me give a try if possible, because I think it has started. Is it now visible to everyone? Is it visible, please?
Yeah, it's getting launched. Can the other people see it? I can't see it yet.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So I was talking about the rotating members, which were there in the Buddhist monastery, and it is actually mechanically rotated with hand as you go into the monastery. So I had seen the key challenges. Basically, first one was to get the right material, then the size, then how it could be fabricated. So the solutions were found to it, that a CNC machine was explored and a tongue and groove joint was seen with a modification of a ball bearing at both the ends to keep it either fixed or rotatable as desired. And different sizes also were explored. Now, to reduce up the bulkiness of this member, opening was given in the center of the member to reduce its weight. And the number of my modules was also decided to keep it 45 as to keep the visual delight perfect. Whereas in a case of 30 centimeter block, it was getting too smaller a size to be manageable, and the number of modules too. So this is the plan for my exhibition space, and two sides, and this is the roof plan for this. So this is the single module which has been replicated throughout the structure, and a ball bearing joint has been created over here, and a groove and a tongue joint has been created. And also there are alternate fixed members and alternate rotatable members, and the thickness of each block is around 12 centimeters. And these are the other members. The previous one were rotating along a vertical support, whereas on the sides it would be rotated along the horizontal supports. And this is a clear visualization of how the bearing and the tongue groove joint would be there. So these are the various elevations. As we see, they can be rotated at any different angle, the alternate ones. The lower ones are the fixed members, and it repeats up its geometry. And on the eastern side, it is revolving along a horizontal axis, but it is rotating vertically. So two different rotations are perceived for this structure, and this is the kind of structure which I have been trying to build. And this is the side of entry, and it is probably from the western side, where I have only the members which are rotating along a vertical support. This is it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prashant, for this presentation. It's a very engineering approach, and I wonder if these stone elements could be also in steel, or so somehow you bring stone to the edge of what he can do. Also inserting balls and joints that can help us to rotate the stone. So this I find interesting, and it's really cutting edge because, well, it would also require probably some tests if the stone can support all what you ask him to do. So that's fascinating also, because the idea of the lattice and the dissolution or deconstruction of a compact mass into tiny elements, this also works pretty well. So this is I just would have a question concerning the making or the assembling of the structure. Can you just clip it one over the other, or how would it be made on site?
It's getting fixed. Only a single module would be done, and each member has a groove and a tongue joint. And the tongue is around 6 centimeter deep, whereas the bearing inserted inside is around 3 centimeter wide. And there's a metal member which is acting like a steel shaft, which is connecting to the lower member over here.
Prashant, would you have those drawings or images where you were showing us the green color members of the tension members? Probably you have not put it here. That would have given a better idea. Do you have here in this presentation?
That is in a different presentation now.
So that would have given a better idea. No problem.
Okay. Because I tried to change up the size and add up a bearing inside, and further complex the situation.
If you would like to, you could probably show that to Excel, even if the size of module is different. But if you want to explain the assembly and the joinery part, you could probably refer to your older presentation.
It would be also interesting to gather the material perhaps on a database which is accessible for both parties. We can imagine a sharing system, yeah. Because it's also interesting for Gerion. He had a quite similar approach by decomposing the pavilion into quite tiny elements which are brought together. I think if we identify similarities in research questions, I think it would be perfect for students to carry on with communal problems or the questions they have in common.
Totally makes sense. I've taken a note that we could share the digital repositories and could also have common discussions because a lot of them have similar approaches.
It would be great to create some couples, or we don't want to marry you, not arranged marriage, but somehow a kind of good friendship in common questions. So don't feel offended, huh?
Yeah. So meanwhile, Prashant puts his drawing on the screen. I have a certain experience of working with a similar modular prototype. With the CNC machine and the tongue and groove joint and the ball bearing, it would be possible to make, but probably he needs to explain it in a better way through more drawings.
Yeah, what we also discussed in our groups is the question of tectonics. So how a lintel would be made, or to which extent stone. I mean, as you could see in Philip's approach. The massiveness of the stone supports a bigger stone. And here in Prashant's work, what I really find fascinating that you don't really understand how it's, what is the load-bearing thing? Because it's very lightweight, and that's interesting. It's more a mysterium.
No, I totally get it. He has to highlight that armature framework that he has designed, which is not there in his presentation as of now.
This is the one. Is it visible, sir? Hello.
It's still rotating, Prashant. Yes, now it's good. It's okay. Yeah. Okay.
I can't still see, but you can go ahead if others are able to see.
I can see something, yeah.
Probably if it's not getting visible to everyone, I'll email it and ask for.
Sir, we can see it.
Okay. So the lower members, which are the fixed ones, they are also joined on the horizontal axis, whereas the members which are rotating just have an upper groove and then a member, down member.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think you will have to detail it out. It's still not very clear through the drawing. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. Very interesting.
Thank you, sir.
Very high tech. Huh?
Yeah, but I find this very interesting that he's rotating it along the vertical and horizontal axis. So it's giving a sort of a dynamic dimension to it.
Yeah, also the idea of manipulating. I mean, I find it interesting. Normally, if you are in a museum or facing an object for an exhibition, you're supposed not to touch. And here you are invited to touch. So the tactile dimension is interesting too, I think.
It's probably the internet problems that confuse me, sir. Otherwise, I would have explained it in a much better manner.
No problem. You have done a good job. You can detail it out further. Yeah. Pranjal, are you ready?
Yes.
So you have a similar approach but different details. So yeah, you could explain.
Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the idea was to use the stone both as a structural member and as for ornamentation. The concept was derived from the jalis of the traditional architecture of Rajasthan, like the example of jalis from Udaipur and Jaipur. And the idea was to make a modular structure so as it could be easy for transportation, and there could be some iterations in the design itself. So I took the concept from sea sponges. So sea sponges have a infinite polyhedra structure. Like they are made from units. Like units B you can see here. So I took this unit and I joined them to make a pavilion. I'll show you the unit details. So this is one module, octagonal shape and two protruding parts. The construction method is CNC machine because there are more than 2800 modules in the structure and better precision is required. The stone used are marbles, white Carrara marbles and Marquina black marble, as they are easily available. And the joinery details will be the dowel and slate joints. So this is my pavilion. This is the pavilion where it's open from two opposite ends, and the walls itself are made of units joined together. As you can see, it is the niches are there are some niches in between the walls where lights could be hanged for the at night time. So this is the whole concept, the whole exploded view. There is a roof structure made of modules. Then there is a steel structure to support the vertical members as well as the roof, and the whole load is transferred through these steel pipes to the plinth and to the ground ultimately. This is the so this is how one could visualize it. The joinery details of roof are different from that of the walls. As we can see, I have used different module for the walls and different for the roof. In order to show the iteration process from the same module, I have designed one more. I call it DNA pavilion, inspired from the DNA helical structure. So these are the DNA columns, and these could be joined together at the top. At the top, they support each other, but at the middle portion, to counterpart the outward force, the tension cables are used, which keep the structure stable. The whole roof is supported at the center on a rectangular slab, supported by the column, and it's a cantilever on all the sides. You can see the exploded view of the structure. So yeah, this is it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pranjal. There is a German biologist. He worked on exoskeletons in 1900, and there was a kind of microorganism living 10,000 meters under the sea, and those microorganisms, they have exoskeletons that look a bit like your structure. So it's like a skeleton which is not like in your body inside but outside, and it's there was a big fascination around 1900 for such metaphors or examples coming from nature and being translated into this kind of very delicate work. Yes. So the problem here is, like in many of the projects, that what to do with the roof, but because the roof isn't easy to get into such a structure, so you need cables, or as we discussed previously.
Yep.
Sorry.
I provided these steel pipes on the below the roof, so that the load goes on the these pipes and then to the vertical pipes and to the plinth. So these
Yes,
walls
yes.
are not taking any load. It's going directly through the steel members.
The steel members, yeah. No, I just thought if you consider a catenary form, then perhaps you might be able to work directly with your little modules to form an arch which conducts the loads directly to the ground. So I think just to open up another direction of structural thought, we saw it actually when we visited the Oroville Institute. They worked a lot with this catenary forms, and perhaps it could be an interesting approach also for you, as Gaudi did, for instance, in Sagrada Familia in Barcelona or others. So
sure, sir. I will look into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranjal. Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. Please look into that. I would like to present on behalf of another student, Raman. He's very sick, but there is some attempt, so it's not yet complete. I would just like to share the idea. Just a moment. Is the PDF visible? All right. So Raman has chosen basically two materials to create a visual contrast and also for the material properties which sandstone and granite has. So there are like alternating planes, two of granite and two of red sandstone. And for the armature structure, there is the use of metal, which is GI. So GI sections. And yes, as per the dimensions, the total dimensions achieved are 3 cross 3 cross 3. So there is not too much in terms of drawings, but there are renders and views, and he has just sent some concepts to be shared here. So basically, these are sort of, panels of stone, two planes perforated and two solid for accommodating different functions, ideally display of exhibition. And there has to be a little seating also in the center, not occupying much of the volume, but just one central seating. And these act like louvers where they can be dynamic, and they also work on ball bearings, like Prashant was exploring the idea. So they could, like, the entire pavilion could really open up and get closed. And the roof slab is flat and it is divided into 3 panels of stone which are supported by GI sections. I'll show further. So this is how it looks like. And this needs to be further detailed out, of course. But as of now, these are 3 slabs and this span is also quite a bit. So as of now, according to his detailing, there is this corner which is supporting the load and then these GI sections over here. But yes, it needs further detailing. And the roof slab is essentially flat and it is slightly elevated to give it a floating look. I'm not sure, only with this much slit it would of course not allow that much light. And the play of light and shadow anyway is getting facilitated by the jali, the contemporary expression of the trellis. And what he had tried to do is that the stone that is taken out from here through, like from these perforations, can be utilized for flooring to create this checkered pattern, along with another stone or probably a play of another material. And this is the ball bearing mechanism that we see there to support these vertical louvered stone members, which can be dynamic. And then there is a sort of a system in place already, but like what Prashant was doing with those modules, these can also be maneuvered into different patterns on the site itself. And this is the material left out from here and then utilized for the flooring. and these are the metal structures and channels which can be utilized for the structural sturdiness of this entire pavilion. Yeah. These are some more details. Yeah. So I have this as of now. He's not here and he needs to work further. We are praying for his speedy recovery and he'll catch up from this point.
Yeah, so please give all my regards to Raman. I hope he will be better soon. And I also, I'm a bit reminded to a lecture Ambrish Arora gave at
Yes, yes.
during the his presence here.
Yeah.
When we invited him to speak about his work, and he showed us one very beautiful carving of plates, which are still, yes, which are still made by hand. And in this work of Raman, I also wonder if there could be a kind of blend of digital tools and ancient ornament, because I was fascinated by the film you were showing and also the richness of Indian ornament, and I wonder if this pavilion couldn't really show something different than the repetition of squares. So how can you kind of quote the variety of different traditions and bring it into play again? And yeah, so I think in Japanese. Sorry.
His idea was to look at the complex geometry in the Indian jalis, but for the lack of time and for the software rendering taking a lot of time, he just put the idea as squares. But yes, I will definitely ask him to work on more intricate details, look at the ornamental aspect of stone construction in India. And you were talking about Japanese.
Thank you. Yeah, no, just these movable elements, these movable vertical elements in terms of sliding doors, or even, there are some temples in Japan where you can uplift it, so it could rotate also in different directions, I thought. So somehow I think there is a chance for absorbing a bit more variety in this project.
I'll pass on the comments. Thank you. Okay, this is all we have for today. There are few more students who are exploring interesting techniques like stone turning. One is working on stone using the spherical sections of stone, few hollow, few solid, where you could also install a light fixture and create a very interesting exhibition pavilion. And one is working with cylindrical sections of stone. And there's one student who is trying to work with the catenary applications, because most of what we saw are linear, but he is trying to work with vaults and catenary applications. But because of the health issues, they are not here. So I could share with you those files, or if we meet next for another session, maybe on the building inventories, then I can try to accommodate those 3-4 explorations later.
Yeah, this was really fascinating. Congratulations also for this wonderful work, and I think there are many common grounds of further explorations among the two teams. And I would be delighted if we could agree upon a common session, perhaps organized by the students themselves, to connect to the other team, and even identifying common questions, and this could be put forward. I think we can do it again in this larger group, but you can also imagine to have perhaps individual meeting with smaller teams having similar research questions. So I would suggest to organize it somehow through email, that you can share perhaps your email addresses, or
Yes.
perhaps one of your team could organize it, and on our side, Gerion or Aude could help us perhaps to
I would
assemble.
request Surya to coordinate with Medina and then, create this group where all these email IDs are there. And then they could have lots of smaller meetings, and both of us can probably coordinate for the larger together sessions. We could do that.
And the other question I would have, because I'm also curious myself, today we spoke about Dravidian architecture, temple architecture. We saw the little film, but somehow our knowledge on ornaments in India is still a bit restricted. If you had somehow an introduction for us, what can be done, or is there even a kind of revival of ornamentation? How can stone surfaces be carved, or what kind of patterns are interesting to explore? I think this is really something which had been abandoned due to the interdiction of ornament in modern times. Adolf Loos, and he said ornament is a crime, but less is more. Mies van der Rohe, no ornament, and so I think there is an interesting East-Western dialogue on what is the ornament in your society, in contemporary India. Can we reconcile it also with the help of digital tools that make it possible again to carve it? And so there's perhaps something to explore in an interesting topic I'm quite excited about. So this is one other research question. The other, today we heard it by Rosa, for instance, and also different approaches to marble, sandstone, granite, and perhaps even volcanic minerals.
Yes.
So this is a bit our hope that we learn more about the Indian stone, the quarries, or what kind of stones we could work with. So this ornament and perhaps the geological presence of stones in India would be interesting for us.
Yeah, that I take a note of it. During the seminar in December, I had called a geologist, and probably the German team was not there in that session. I could share that presentation with you. I can call him again. And also regarding the ornamentation, let me organize a session. It would be lovely to have a discussion on that.
Yeah, thank you, Smriti, for this.
And if I could very briefly share few pages from a PDF. It's a book that I will share with all of you, but I can just give you a little idea about different kinds of stones. Like you rightly pointed out, one of the students is probably exploring laterite stone and the another one basalt, because there is a humongous variety of stones in India, and like marble and sandstone and granite are not the only ones. So definitely that. Is the PDF visible? Yeah, so I have this book where it's on that building that I showed you. I published this book, but it has a lot of information on the origin of stone, and what are the different kinds of finishes. And in India specifically, what are different kinds of stones, and geographically speaking, they're all in what sort of, typologies, and for what functions they have been utilized, and also what are building stones and veneer stones, and what are sculptural and otherwise. And like Axel was rightly pointing out, if we see throughout the geographical expanse of India, we have so many variety of stones, and also, trying to understand what are the examples from history and what is the current scenario. How are they getting used or applied in the contemporary scenario? So I have these kinds of inventories and some examples. And there are also a lot of historical and mythological examples. Just a moment. Yeah, so we are talking about also iconography and storytelling and what India essentially, highlights when it comes to stone as a material which is so universal and civilizational. So yeah, there are like different case studies and examples that have been put together in this book, and some more kind of craft works that go along with stone, and very fascinating examples from temple architecture, mythology, and some stepped wells. Like few of these images I saw in the concept sheets of the German students, which looked very fascinating to me. Also the Badami cave, Ajanta and Ellora, and reclining Buddha and all those details. I'm just browsing through it and flipping over. Yeah, just to give a broad idea. So sorry about that.
Oh, thank you. Could you share it with us, Smriti?
Yes.
Is it a book or a paper you wrote?
It's a published book. I published it, and I'll share the entire book with you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to work with another research scholar who is working on the digital repository on the references related to stone. She will join us soon, so I'll be able to share more resources with you in an organized manner.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very lovely. Thank you.
Okay, it was a productive session. Congratulations for putting up such brilliant prototypes. Thank you, everyone. And we would probably have another discussion amongst ourselves for the later session, right? For the building inventory. I could email you.
Yes. And we would be glad to also to upload your schemes perhaps on our portal on EAMC, so we can go on with this collection as a common base for further explorations. And so we will gather the email addresses and hope that you can connect freely among each other.
I'll do that. All right. Thank you, everyone. Could we have a group picture, please? I always do that. Sorry. We can have our cameras on and let's have a group picture together. Is there anyone? I think I would just request Saina to do that. I'm not very good at it, how to have this entire grid view. Could you please have some pictures for all of us? Could we have the German team? Philip, Rosa, Madine, Andrea? Or is it that just I'm not able to see them on screen? I have some technical issues.
I cannot see myself as well, but I can see you. I don't know what
That's all.
My camera is on, so what shall I do?
I think Saina is clicking for us. I have also clicked one.
I think there is a way to show everyone.
Yeah, I'm not able to figure it out. Could you please help?
There are 3 dots on the right lower corner, and then when you click on them, it shows change layout, and then there is tiled, and then when you click tiled, you can show all the pictures. You just need there is like a dot and a line, and you need to slide the dot so that it shows everyone.
Got it. Thank you so much. I got it. Yeah.
Thank you, Vesina.
All right.
However, we don't see all the talking heads.
Yeah, we are, I think, some 49 or so. Okay, the count of 3, one more probably. 1, 2, 3. Smile, please. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Smriti, for hosting this wonderful session, and we look forward to the next one.
All right, stay safe. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you, Saina, and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you for the great schemes.